Welcome back to all the students of Political Science class 12th once again here. So students, we were doing the fifth chapter of our book Contemporary World Politics, and the name of the chapter is Contemporary South Asia, and we had already finished two parts of this particular chapter, and today we are going to do the third part, as you can see, and the third part name is Monarchy and Democracy in Nepal. So in context to Nepal, we are going to study about what was the monarchy system there and how they brought up and came up with the democracy in the current scenario. So if we talk about monarchy, the meaning of monarchy is like the total control of power in one hand, that's the king's rule, and democracy as you already know it. So in this chapter we will be studying both monarchy system and democracy in context to Nepal. So moving forward here, Nepal was a Hindu kingdom in the past and then the constitutional monarchy. So if we talk about the ancient time of the Nepal, from the very beginning, Nepal has been a Hindu kingdom. That is a place where it has been ruled by the king, and the king was Hindu since a long time in the past, and then it's a constitutional monarchy. If we talk about it, later on became the constitutional monarchy in the modern period of for many years. Constitutional monarchy here means although there was a formation of the constitution, framing of the constitution, rules and regulation according to the democracy, but still there were the most of the powers were in the hands of the king. That's why this term is used, constitutional monarchy. Complete democracy was never implemented there. Very limited democracy was given in Nepal in the different phases of the time. So next is king had the control over the people of Nepal through army. So king was able to control and influence all the people and the population of Nepal with the help of army. So this was the main power of the king, that is army, through which the king was able to control and manage the people of Nepal for several years. Next is throughout this period, that is this period when Nepal was controlled by the king through a monarchy system. Throughout this period, the political parties and common people wanted to establish democracy. Since a long time, people were not happy there, they were not satisfied. Their desires were to live under the democratic nation, but which was not possible because of the monarchy, strong monarchy system of the king with the help of the army. But the king retained full control. Whenever people wanted to establish democracy, king was more powerful. He retained full control with the help of the army. He restricted the expansion of democracy. Whatever the movements and protests came up for the democracy, king suppressed them with the help of the army. King did not wanted to give any power to anyone, wanted to tackle with and keep all the powers in his own hand and control the nation, that is Nepal, economically, politically and socially with his own wish. So for the first time in 1990s, this particular date, remember this date. So for the very first time in 1990s, due to the strong pro-democratic, that is the movements and the protest overtaken to bring democracy in a particular nation, several movements, the king accepted the demand for the new democratic constitution. Here there was very strong democratic movements were going on, protests were going on all over the Nepal, and in this particular situation the king was forced and he accepted the new democratic constitution. But this democracy which the king gave was very short-lived and troublesome. So we can say, although in 1990s, because of the strong movement and opposition from all the people of Nepal, although he gave the permission and demand of the people for the new democratic constitution, new constitution was framed according to the democracy, but it was very short-lived. It did not last for the long period of time, and it was very troublesome. Okay, so moving forward, due to triangular conflict. So talking of the triangular conflict, there were three groups in Nepal which were in conflict during this particular pro-democratic movements to bring democracy in Nepal. So these three groups were monarchists. These are the monarchists who were working for the king. They wanted all the powers in one hand, that is the king's rule. Democrats who wanted their nation Nepal to be ruled according to a democratic country institution. And the third one was Maoists. Maoists were the people who followed the communist regime or the communist ideology. Communist ideology means based on socialism, where the resources are equally divided between all the population and it's all public goods. Here king abolished the parliament so because of the triangular conflict and confusion and imbalance in the Nepal, here king abolished parliament in 2002. whatever the limited democracy was given in Nepal in 1990 was abolished in 2002 by the king because of the triangular conflict going between monarchists, democrats, and Maoists, which even ended the limit. So the limited democracy which people of Nepal were having, that also ended in 2002. But people were not satisfied here. They had lot of desires from the as a nation. They wanted a good lifestyle, living under a democratic nation, having a good constitution where all the wishes and needs were fulfilled. So a massive countrywide again a massive strong protest against the king's rule started, in which all the people of Nepal and all the political parties, activists, socialists, everyone took part. And in 2006 they achieved first major victory in Force King. In 2006 they achieved the first victory in this particular field, and for the first time the king was forced to restore the House of Representatives. House of Representatives mean they wanted to start a system based on democracy. So, and is still working on democracy, but we can say Nepal still doesn't have a complete democracy. They're still working on it slowly and gradually. They are becoming more stronger and stronger and trying to work as a democratic nation. So after monarchy system and democracy in Nepal, we have understood it. And the next topic is ethnic conflict and democracy in Sri Lanka. So what were the conflicts in Sri Lanka? If we talk about Sri Lanka, in case of it, we can see it was totally different from the problems or the conflict arising up in Pakistan or in Bangladesh, because there we were studying mostly about the democratic system or the military system or the monarchy system. What were the problems there? But in Sri Lanka there was no problem such as democracy, because democracy was established successfully since its independence, that is 1948 till date. But the problem coming up in Sri Lanka was, if the first term you can see, ethnic conflict. What was ethnic conflict is written here. Meaning of ethic is we can define it as the moral philosophy based on the morals, or we can say code of morals practiced by a group or a group of people. What were the certain group or a code of morals which was practiced by a group or a group of people? As we know, in case of Sri Lanka there are two groups, Sinhalas and Tamils. So these two groups had different sort of code of morals, their thoughts, their culture. So they were following it. So what were the conflicts regarding those religious problems we will study here. So the first point is very simple, as I told you. Sri Lanka, old name of Sri Lanka was Ceylon, has been able to retain democracy since its independence in 1948. That is, democracy was established in Sri Lanka in 1948. Since then, it has been very successful, like India, to maintain this democracy in their own country. But the problem in Sri Lanka is, this is a main problem, they are having two communities, and the two communities are Sinhalas, who are the original settlers of Sri Lanka. They are in majority, most of the people are there, Sinhalas. But the other group, which community which has moved there from India, are Tamil group, which are in minority. So there is a conflict between these two groups, which is the major problem of Sri Lanka till date. So what was the problem? We can see it's written here also. Sri Lanka community is called Sinhalas. The people of Sri Lanka are called Sinhalas, and the Indian community which migrated there are called Tamil. So these two are the communities, and we are going to read about the conflicts and problems between these two communities, which is a major area of study in this particular topic about these two communities. What were the problems? The main problem of Sri Lanka is community and controversies regarding the Tamils that belong to India. So the problem is the controversy and the problems coming up with the Tamils against the Sinhalas. Next is here, Sinhala people enjoy more privileges. This was a place where the Indian Tamils who had migrated and settled in Sri Lanka, they always felt neglected, exploited, or discriminated as compared to Sinhalas, because Sinhalas people enjoyed most of the privileges, rights, values in Sri Lanka, while Tamils were often neglected by Sri Lankan government. They were not having any role to play in the Sri Lankan government, in the public sector, in the private sector, or in the culture. They were not given any importance Okay, as they were Tamils, and Sinhalas were given the more importance. So this was the reason for the major conflict in Sri Lanka. When something when happens wrong there with Tamils, whenever the Tamils are in the problem in Sri Lanka, the Indian Tamils create pressure on our government. The people of Tamil of India, they create pressure on the government of India, and they tell the government to negotiate and bring some agreements and find the solution of the Tamils in Sri Lanka. And so there are made negotiation with Sri Lankan government on Tamil questions. So whenever there is a problem in Sri Lanka, the people of Tamil, that is in India, force our government to go and make some negotiations and bring up some solution so that their people can live peacefully in Sri Lanka as well, and they can get all their rights as a citizen of Sri Lanka. So along with when all these problems were going on, there was so much of imbalance between these two communities. They tried many agreements to find, or many solutions to find to solve the problem of these two communities, but it was not possible till date. In 1983, this particular date, remember, Tamilian people, the people of Tamilian in Sri Lanka, they organized a militant group. They found out when they were criticized, when they were neglected, they were not given any rights as a citizen of Sri Lanka. So here they felt so much ignored that they decided to form a militant group in 1983, and the name of the group was Liberation Tigers of Tamil Eelam, or in short we can say LTTE, to fight against the Sri Lankan army. So they fought against the men. There were more violence activities and civil war in Sri Lanka, in which these two communities were always into action. That is Tamil people, whose this particular militant group was LTTE, who were fighting for the rights and equal participation as Sinhalas in Sri Lanka. So against the Sri Lankan army. So in 1987, government of India got directly involved. So there was a problem going on in Sri Lanka. So here Indian government got directly involved in the internal matter of Sri Lanka, and here Indian government sent its peacekeeping forces to Sri Lanka. Okay. So we can say in 1987, remember the date, India has sent its peacekeeping forces to bring peace in Sri Lanka and to settle and find the solution to the problem of Tamils in Sri Lanka, to bring the equality there and peace. But this was taken negatively by the Sri Lankan government, and the Sri Lankan government opposed Indian interference on the internal conflict. Sri Lankan government said that this was the internal matter of Sri Lanka and India had no right to come and interfere in the matters of a country. So here India had to go back in 1989. So after this, India as an Indian were not allowed to interfere in the any members of the internal matters of their member countries. So in this internal matter of Sri Lanka, India was not supposed to interfere. So in 1989, the peacekeeping forces of India went back to India without achieving their objective and target. The objective and targets which they had to bring for Sri Lankan Tamils was unachieved. So this was a major problem of Sri Lankan Tamils and Sinhalas, the major majority people there. But despite this internal disturbance, there was so much of disturbance in Sri Lanka. But despite that, we can say internal conflict, Sri Lanka had maintained democratic political. Still, they were able to maintain successfully this democratic political system since its independence. And along with this political system of based on democracy, they registered considerable economic growth. The economic growth was very good. All the economic activities were going very good. There was a human development was also in the very good level there. Sri Lanka successfully controlled the rate of growth of population. Amongst the Asian nations, Sri Lanka was the first country to control the growth of population and had the highest GDP growth for the many years. In Asia, Sri Lanka was having the highest GDP growth for many years. So, and one more point is here. You must know Norway and Iceland negotiated. They gave some agreements between India and Sri Lanka to find a solution to the problems which arose between these two countries. So if the question comes for 1 mark, which were the two countries who negotiated between India and Sri Lanka, you should write Norway and Iceland. So all these problems were going in Sri Lanka, but despite of that, they majorly focused on the democratic system to go on as it is going on till date, and they also focused on the very good economic activities, and that's why their economic growth was very good, along with their very good GDP all these years. So this is the problem of Sri Lanka. It's not very difficult, as we can see two communities were there, Sinhalas and Tamils. These were the original settlers of there who were in majority. They were given all the rights there, but the Tamils felt neglected and ignored as they were not given the equal treatment, same as like the Sinhalas by the Sri Lankan government. So this is the case of Sri Lanka. In the next topic, I shall be taking the next part, but you must keep doing your assignments on time. Till then, thank you.